Welcome to MTG Ectoplasm, your home for Spirit Travel and Magic the Gathering. I'm your host, Dwight, aka D Blanco, a medium that wears an extra, extra large. You can reach out to me on Twitter at MTG Ectoplasm, or you can email me directly at mtgectoplasm@gmail.com. Let me know how am I doing. Am I doing a good job, a bad job, or maybe I shouldn't quit my day job? Now, like I ask each and every single episode, do me a favor, hit that follow, like, subscribe button because of these things called algorithms. Because if you like the show, you have to hit those follow, like, subscribe buttons so others can learn about the show. And what also helps is you, the viewer, the listener, sharing this with other people. Because guess what? There's not too many people out here making content for you, the spirit people, or shall I say, the Boo Crew. And you know what? We got to sit there and we got to help one another out, right? Because this is what we do as people. So hit that follow, like, subscribe button and share this with everyone else. Now, like I do each and every other episode as well, is I bring in the one who I call the Ravishing One. She's the one who makes all the little doodads, the noise effects, the little, just put with the, as the French would put, a little bit of the je ne sais quoi, a little bit of I don't know what. It's the one, the only, the one I call the Ravishing One, Renata. How you doing, Renata?
I'm doing quite well.
How you feeling? Feeling good?
Feeling good.
So, tell me, anything new going on?
Well, we've had a pretty big response from our fans
Okay.
requesting for us to get a Patreon.
A Patreon?
A Patreon.
Wow, okay.
So we're currently working on it. We just have a few more little details to work out, and it'll be up and running soon.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We give you no bullshit. Ooh. Anything else?
No, that's about it as far as what's going on.
Okay, well, there you go. You heard it here, the Boo Crew. We're gonna start a Patreon sooner than later. We just want to work out the minor details as it is and make sure everything's on point because if you're happy, I'm happy, and in my world, a happy wife makes a happy life, or shall I say, a happy spouse makes a happy house. That's something everybody here should try to remember. So, Ravishing, what do you think about this episode that we're gonna do this evening?
I think this is going to be a really good episode. I also think it's a necessary episode. It's one of the top decks in Modern. And I think that the Boo Crew will need to know how to beat it.
Yeah, I think it's a moral imperative. And let me begin by saying the deck, I mean, obviously you hit the thumbnail, right? If you're listening or watching, you're like, oh, Dwight, come on, we know. Izzet Murktide. Now, if you don't know and you've been living under a rock and just saying, hey, when are you going to get back to Modern? Because we've done a lot. I'm going to be quite sincere. We focused heavy into Pioneer, right? Because guess what? We want to make sure you're ready, you're prepared, going to your LGS or doing MTGO so you can get to part of that pro tour. Because there's some people who are very competitive, like myself, who try to go that way, and others that are like, I just like to play my deck and, I'm going to be casual, but I want to have a competitive feel. Now, we're back in Modern today. And in the Modern, Izzet Murktide is a tier 1 deck. Now, personally, I believe Spirits and every single Spirit deck is a tier 1 deck. Now, others will be like, Dwight, you've lost your mind, you bumped your head. Maybe. But I think Spirits has all the answers. We just haven't gone through our roller decks or gone through our file system to go, hey, maybe this will work or maybe that will work. I think we need to, as the spirit community, we need to go back and dig deep into what we have to potentially find the victory, which I will show you the keys of victory today. But Murktide, Izzet Murktide, is at 10% of tier 1. 10%. That's huge. That's an alarming rate. But the win rate is like 55, 56%. So the deck is beatable. The deck is 100% beatable. It's just trying to figure out the ways and the methods to get there, right? Well, let's think about Izzet Murktide, right? What it is, honestly, is nothing more than a tempo deck. Like every other tempo deck, it plays quick and then slightly fizzles, but there's a huge difference here. Where it doesn't fizzle is that it plays a lot of card draw, aka cantrips. That's the problem that we have in the spirit community where we're desperate. We need card draw because we love our creatures. They do something that no other creature tribe does, and it's protect their own. Now, I was going to say they fly, but now we have angels that are coming around. Now they're stealing our thunder. Basically, they fly and they gain life. For us, they fly. Our spirits, what they do is they fly and protect their own. Now, if we look at Izzet Murktide in the early game, what they like to do is attack their opponents and put them on their back foot, put them on the heels. Especially one particular monkey, and I'm telling you, I'm gonna beat that monkey up. I don't like monkeys, to be specific. I got bit by one in Latin America when I was 12 years old, but that's not a different story. But with that being said, if we can handle the monkey and other creatures early, I think we can, weather the storm, start playing our creatures, do what we have to do, and we will get our victory. Now, in the late game, they have one finisher, one major finisher, and it goes by Murktide. Let's be honest with you. So in their deck, basically, what they do is try to beat you up early, make you worry about the early game. They try to control it or burn your creatures out, and then here comes Murktide Regent. Now, I saw several deck lists, and this is my version. This is my deck list that I created because there's some different variations out there, and this is what I personally would do with the Murktide deck. So, Ravishing, why don't we bring up the deck list right now for me? And here it is. My version of Izzet Murktide. Okay. It's going to be very comparable, and I'm going to tell you where you're going to see difference, honestly, is in the sideboard and in the creatures. Now, and I'm going to explain real quick. Right now, my version is running 13 creatures, very comparable to what they're doing. They're running 4 Ragavan Nimble Pilferer. Of course, why one day? That's an evil monkey. Then you got 3 Dragon Rage Channeler and then 3 Ledger Shredder. Now, this is where the variation comes in. Some people like to put in 4 Dragon Rage Channeler and just 2 Ledge Shredders, or they do vice versa, where they put in 2 Dragon Rage Channelers, aka Darcy, and then 4 Ledge Shredders. I put 3 and 3 because to me, it just makes more sense that way. Then finally, 3 Murktide Regent. I've seen some decks they play 4, but realistically, I think it's overkill. With as much, card draw, aka cantrips, you really don't need it. Now they're running 4 sorcery speed, expressive iteration. Now this is a card that actually got banned in Modern, and by no surprise, it should have been banned in Modern. I'm sorry, in Pioneer. I stand corrected. In Pioneer got banned, but surprisingly, it's not getting banned here in Modern. Why? Because there's a lot of answers. There's always answers. Now, if we look at the instance, they're running 20 instants. 4 Consider, 4 Unholy Heat, 3 Lightning Bolt, 2 Spell Pierce, 4 Counter Spells, and 3 Arc-Like's Charms. See the burn encounter? We're going to get more into that. And card draw, too. And then Artifact, we got 4 Mishra's Bauble. Well, if you know anything, and if you remember the good old days of Loris, Mishra found the home. Mishra's Bauble itself found a new home. It kind of sucks. Now, surprisingly, which may surprise people, is that I put 19 lands. And because there's so much cantrip going on, they're drawing card and drawing and drawing and drawing, that this deck really plays at a 2 to 3 mana speed, even though they got the Murktide Regent. And if we're going to look at the Murktide Regent in a bit, and you're going to see, well, realistically, you don't really have to worry too much about mana in this deck. But they're running 19 lands, 1 Aurora Soaring City, 2 Fiery Islets, 3 Islands, 2 Polluted Deltas, 3 Steam Vents, 2 Flooded Strand, 4 Spiral Bluff Canals, and then 2 Scalding Tarn. I don't know about you, but if anybody playing this, that's some cha-ching. That's some money right there. It's not as expensive as a Money Pile, but it's still a pretty penny. Then finally, the sideboard. Now, there's several cards here that do bother me. One is a Mangus Magus of the Moon, obviously, because we're spirits. We don't like our land base turn into we don't like our land base turning into mountains. Then you got subtlety, fury. Let me just tell you, I dropped my pen because fury bothers me a lot. Jace the Mind Sculptor, engineered explosives can cause problems. Can cause problems with us. Then you got 2 unlicensed Hearst, really does nothing for us. 2 dress down, 1 blood moon, just like the Magus of the Moon, does bother me a little bit. Flusterstorm, no. no. And then 2 mystical dispute. Why would it bother me? I don't know. Because our spirits deck, Azorius or Bant in modern, it does cause some problems. We're gonna touch more base in here. So now what I want to do in the next slide, I'm going to show you the early creatures that they tend to play. In Ravishing, if you don't mind, here it is. They have Ragavan, the Nimble Pilfer. They're playing Dragon Rage Chandler, and then they got the Ledge Shredder. Now, unfortunately for us, okay, the monkey is honestly the key number 1 problem that I have in this deck. The reason why is, fortunately, it doesn't have haste. Thank God. But if you read, I love Ravishing read, but when she reads this, I want you to, I'm going to make some key points here. Ravishing, go ahead.
Whenever Ragavan Nimble Pilfer deals combat damage to a player, create a treasure token and exile the top card of that player's library. Until end of turn, you may cast that card.
Now, it has dash, a generic in red. Realistically, they can play that in the late game. I've rarely seen it done, and that's when it has haste. But realistically, they like to play it turn 1. Now, as it said, when it deals damage to a player, they create a treasure. Well, that gives them mana. That's bad for us. Then on top of that, they take the top card of the library and go, I just might play this on my turn. And it could be anything. And for spirits, because the fact that we're playing blue, it could assist them along the way. Now, this evil little monkey, who I would love to just beat up and spank and so on and so forth, is where the trouble leads. Now, people go, well, how about Dragon Rage Chandler? Dragon Rage Chandler is almost as bad. It's almost as bad, but it takes a little bit to get there. Ravishing, why don't you read Dragon Rage Chandler for us?
Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, Surveil 1, Delirium. As long as there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard, Dragon's Rage Chandler gets +2/+0, has flying, and attacks each combat if able.
Now, Surveil means you look at you look at your card, top card of your library, and you can put it in your graveyard. Okay, not bad, right? Oh, but if it's I believe a non-creature, it gets +1/+1. I believe so. I got to verify that. I may be 100% wrong, but it filters and it helps out the delirium. If you could throw cards, I'm sorry, no, that's connives that I'm thinking that, but it helps them filter delirium. It helps them get their delirium when they cast non-creature spells. That's an issue. And the fact that this creature becomes a 2, gets +2/+0 and flying, it makes it a 3/1 flyer. Now, when it comes to spirits, we're going to go, well, 3/1, I'll block it. Yeah, it sucks that I got to lose a spirit, but I'll block it. And then finally, Ledge Shredder. Ledge Shredder is a generic in blue, a 1/3 bird advisor flyer. Whenever a player casts their second spell each turn, Ledge Shredder connives. Draw a card, discard a card from your hand. If that card is a non-land card, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Now notice how it said whenever a player casts their second spell. That doesn't mean just them. That also means me, the opponent. A lot of people have been missing out on this card, and there's a reason why this is a $25 card right now on TCG Player. And rest in peace, Channel Fireball. But this is the early game. And realistically, I'm going to be quite sincere with you. I played against this deck a lot. And a good friend of mine, Nick, he tends to be a the Death Shadow player. He loves this deck. And I went toe to toe with him this past weekend. And I found myself on my heels because of Ragavan. Now, once I was able to block Ragavan, I was able to compose myself. I was like about 12 life deep, and I'm like, okay, how do I turn the tide around? And I was able to. I started turning the tide. I was able to, see the finish line. I was able to see the victory. So, realistic and honestly, worry about Ragavan. Ragavan's an issue. Lead Shredder, it's going to be an issue, and you need to handle it. And I'm going to tell you the key cards that you're going to be able to handle it. Or what the hell? I'll tell you right now. One of the key cards that you're going to need to handle it right now is Skyclave Apparition, and consider also Spell Queller. Get rid of that guy, the Lead Shredder. Dragon Rage Challenge, don't worry about it. You can block it. That's not a problem. Ragavan is the number one issue. Now let's go to the next slide, which is cantrips. Let's look at these wonderful cantrips. We're going to start with the Artifact of Zero. That's right, Artifact of Zero. They're putting 4 in there. Sacrifice Mishra's Bauble. Look at the top card of target player's library. Draw a card. And at the beginning of your next... you may draw a card at the beginning of your next turn's upkeep. Jesus. Tongue twister and a half. No wonder Mishra is no longer alive. But for 0 mana, I sacrifice it right away. I get to draw a card. And I get to look at a player's top of their library. How's that a bad thing? Oh, it's not. That's right. Because, I can play this as a non-creature spell. And, that's right. Doesn't it help out Lead Shredder? Once this goes into the graveyard, doesn't it help out Darcy? Just throwing it out there. Consider 1 blue, an instant. Look at the top card of your library. You may put that card in your graveyard. Draw a card. Well, didn't I just mention it just helps out those 2 creatures from before? Expressive Iteration, a blue and a red, a sorcery. Look at the top 3 cards of your library. Put 1 of them in your hand. Put 1 of them on the bottom of your library. And then you may put 1 in exile. Doesn't really help, in a sense, exile. But it helps out 1 key card, and that's the finisher, which we will get to in a little bit. These are the key cards that I would tell you, don't worry about countering. You got to deal with the creatures. The creatures are the main issues, not these cards. And we're going to look now at the finisher. The finisher is what? Murktide Regent. So let's bring up the next slide, Ravishing. And here it is. Murktide Regent. 5, 2 blue, a dragon. 3/3. Now you're going to go, Dwight, kidding me? A 7 mana dragon, a 3/3? That thing is a piece of excrement. No. Let's look deeper, shall we? It has Delve. Each card you exile from your graveyard while casting this card pays for 1 generic mana. So say if they have 5 cards in the graveyard, I'm going to exile these cards, and now I'm paying 2 mana for the Murktide Regent. Now this pesky dragon flies. Okay, let's read the next card. So this thing has 4 separate abilities, which sucks, or 4 lines of text that really bother the hell out of me. First is the Delve, which makes it cheap to come into play. Number 2, it flies. As a person who plays evasion, I don't like the flying. Then, let's see. Murktide Regent enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter for each instant or sorcery exiled with it. As we saw, ladies and gentlemen, aren't we playing instants and sorceries here as cantrips? They're removing them? So I can delve them, and because I exiled them, they get +1/+1. So say if I exile 5, this stupid dragon becomes an 8/8? Holy crap. Then, at the end, whenever an instant or sorcery card leaves your graveyard, put a +1/+1 counter on Murktide Regent, which realistically and honestly, how we're going to exile. Oh, that's right. Expressive iteration, which allows us to do that. And one key card that I will tell you that for keys of victory, you need to put it in your sideboard. But the problem is if you put it in play at the wrong time, this creature gets bigger. Now you're going to go, Jesus Christ, Dwight, how can we win? There's victory here. I'm telling you, there's keys to victory coming up. But now it's only going to get worse before it gets better. Before the dawn, there's always the darkest of night. Now let's look at the creature removal they have. And ravishing the next slide, please. And here you go. Lightning Bolt. The tried and true, trusty Lightning Bolt for 3 mana. Oh, sorry, 1 mana, and they got 3 in there. Then they got Unholy Heat. 1 mana as well. Unholy Heat deals 2 damage to target creature or planeswalker. Woo! Who cares? But it has Delirium. Oh, that means it deals 4 damage instead, where 4 or more cards from among them are in the graveyard. So it goes from just 2, and it doubles because you have Delirium. Yeah, that somewhat sucks. The best part is that fortunately it kills a creature, it doesn't hit your opponent directly in the face. But we have answers here. Didn't I say spirits protect them wrong? Then finally, let's look at their control package. Ravishing. There it is. Spell Pierce, Counterspell, Archmage's Charm. Now, Spell Pierce bothers me a little bit because of the fact that realistically, I want to use this against them. But I can't because guess what? I'm not going to run this. It makes no sense for me to run this. And makes no sense for them. This is a dead card in their hand, in their deck against us, the Spirit player, with the exception of, I don't know, Aether Vial. And if you're playing Bant, maybe Coco. Then you got Counterspell. Tried and true, the classic from back in yesteryear. Counterspell. Counters everything. With the exception of, protection from, things that can't be countered. Then Archmage's Charm, where you get to choose one. You count a target spell. Okay, that's more than likely what they're going to do. They can draw 2 cards, which would suck for us, or can control a target non-land permanent with converted mana cost 1 or less, which I hope is not my Mausoleum Wanderer, my Spectral Sailor, or shall I say, my Aether Vial, because I desperately need my Aether Vial, especially against this deck. And then finally, the lands. Ravishing, if you don't mind. And here it is, Ottawa, Saurian City. Oh, they get to return and bounce something back. Okay. Now, the worst part is that it just gets a little bit better because of the stupid monkey. It's really, honestly, the only legendary creature they have. So they're paying 3 to return. Okay, it's not that bad. But the part they love is the card draw. And that's why Fiery Izzet is here. Because the fact that they pay 1, they tap it, they sacrifice the thing, and now they get to draw a card. The Horizon Land. The red-blue Horizon Land makes its appearance. As I said, ladies and gentlemen, it's always darkest before the dawn. And I'm going to give you my hot take. I'm going to show you my keys to victory. And here it is. Shall we? Ravishing. Oh, what's this? Ravishing. What do we have here?
We have launched our online MTG Ectoplasm merch store.
Mm-hmm.
We have currently, right now, we have our 3 t-shirts and some coffee mugs. They come in all sizes and colors for men and women. You can find them at www.mtgectoplasm.com.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. So come and get your hot merch. A lot of you requested it. Hey, I want to support you. Hey, I want to wear this at my, at my FNM when I go to Commander Fest, so on and so forth, or the SEG events. I want to support you. I want to show my love for spirits and the spirit tribe, where you being part of the Brew Crew. So come join us at mtgectoplasm.com. We got shirts for men and women, all sizes, and support it. We got the MTG Ectoplasm shirt, the MTG Ectoplasm IRL show, and then gameplay. It's a show that I do here and there, and we've only done one episode. We're going to get back to that once I come back from my surgery. I'll talk about that in a future episode. So now, ladies and gentlemen, now that we brought that there, we're going to talk about my hot take. And here it is. Here's my hot take. Ready? Ravishing? Oh, look at that. I love that. So, in my hot take, I have here in my formerly chuckly stained fingers, because I did eat a brownie. I have my crystal ball, and I'm looking deep into my crystal ball. Now, I know many of you are like, oh, Dwight, this is getting cheesy. I was like, I know. I asked the wife, I wanted some dry ice, some smoke, some glitter. So, woo, so this is my way of doing it, right? Because I'm a medium, right? I'm supposed to possess the magical power to look deep into the cosmos and give you the keys of victory. So here it is. I see the keys of victory. And the keys of victory are what? And Ravishing will pull them up now. Turn that off. All right. Now you're going to go, Dwight, how is this key to victory? You got Muslim Wanderer, Rattle Chains, and Shacklegeist. How is this keys to victory? Before you start going, no laughing here, ladies and gentlemen. This is not, well, it could be a comedy show if you want it to be. But realistically, the goal here now, ladies and gentlemen, is make our opponents feel. That's the goal right now. And here's the key to victory. Ready? My hot take is this. You throw out Mausoleum Wanderer turn one, or Spectral Sailor turn one, they're going to be nervous. Reason why is they're going to want to blow up that first creature they see on the board. And why? And why, you may ask? Because the fact of Ragavan. Realistically, they're not going to put in Darcy turn one. They're going to sit there and play Ragavan turn one, so they can end up getting the treasure token and then seeing what's coming up on top of your library. So potentially for them to sit there and play the card. Now, I will tell you on turn one, and if you're on the play, do not be afraid if you have Spectral Sailor just to play your lane and hold. Let them attack. Play the Spectral Sailor and then declare your blocker. Why? Because they're going to be like, oh, well, I thought the board state was clear. Well, the board state was clear, but now my Spectral Sailor is taking down your stupid monkey. My pirate beat your pirate. That's right, damn it. But Mausoleum Wanderer is one of these cards that Izzet Murktide, it bothers them. And the reason why is because it counters instants and sorceries. This is an instant sorcery deck that they use against us to build up their forces. And we have a Mausoleum Wanderer to stop that. Forget about it. This is one way of sitting there and making them go, what do I do? Number 2, Rattle Chains. That's right. I'm looking at the key cards in our deck. It doesn't matter if it's Bant or Azorius. Rattle Chains. You're going to go, Dwight, why Rattle Chains? I don't know. Because they have Unholy Heat and because they have Lightning Bolt? Come at me, bro. Come at me, sis. Go ahead. Try to take out my creatures. Guess what? I have Rattle Chains. Oh, my creatures now have hexproof. Now that you did that, now you try to be slick with me. Now all my spirits are got flash, and they're going to come in now at the end of your turn. And from this point on, I'm just going to be smacking you over and over and over again. And then God forbid, if I let a Murktide Regent onto the battlefield, that's why I have my next ace in the hole, Shacklegeist. That's right. Unfortunately, it sucks where the fact that I can only block creatures with flying. Okay. But if I have 2 spirits, him or her, and another spirit, I tap that. Guess what? Murktide Regent is that you do no damage. Your finisher finishes nothing. It's sitting there having a cup of coffee like I am going, I wish I could do some damage, but I'm doing nothing because I'm sitting here twiddling my thumbs. Now, when it comes to Bant, with these cards, do not be afraid to put them out quickly. I know some of you going, well, Noble Hierarch, I'd like to play Noble Hierarch early. I'm going to be honest with you. Noble Hierarch, as much as I love Noble Hierarch, it's a 0/1 creature. Realistic is a 0/1. You put that out there, it blocks and it does nothing to Ragavan. Uh, eh, eh. But you got Coco. And that's good because you get to vomit out your creatures expeditiously. And when you do that, what happens? You turn the tide and put them on your back foot. The secret against this, realistically, is play your creatures out quickly and make them feel uncomfortable. Make them come after you. And like I said before, spirits protect their own. That's why you have Selfless Spirit. That's why you have Rattle Chains. This is the reason why you have Mausoleum Wanderer. That's why you have Spell Queller to sit there and protect your crew, the Boo crew. I promise you start smacking them over and over, quickly, over and over again. They're going to go, well, okay, I'll put in Darcy. Fine, come at me with Darcy. I'll block with one of my guys. I have no fear with no worry with that. Especially, ladies and gentlemen, if you had Moreland Haunt, especially in Azorius, if you have Moreland Haunt, okay, one of my creatures go down. Oh, guess what? I'll get rid of the creature card that's in my graveyard, put a little 1/1 onto the battlefield. Okay, I blocked the Ragavan. I blocked the Darcy. Your little smidget creatures are doing nothing, my friend. Nothing. Now, some of you are going, well, that's great, Dwight. That's great. Thank you for sharing with me how to kick the ass with the main deck. How about the sideboard? What key cards would you consider putting in the sideboard? And this goes for Azorius and Bant. Ravishing, and here it is. Now, I know someone like, really? Burton Forge Tender? Why not? Why not? Let me just tell you, this is a key card that Dr. Queller used to believe in all the time when he used to sit there and go against Burn. If it's good enough for Burn, why wouldn't it be ready for this deck? Because guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Last time I checked, Darcy itself is a creature on the ground unless it has what? Delirium. This creature has protection from red. What is Ragavan? A creature that is red. Has protection from red. It's a 1/1. Oh, you telling me I get to block these creatures? You bet your back end I'm protecting my creatures. And then on top of that, sacrifice. Okay, Burnington Forge Tender. Prevent all damage from a red source of your choice that would be done this turn. Okay, so they're gonna lightning bolt me. Oh no! Guess what? Not today, my friend. Not today. Now, this is one key card that I tell you they hate. But at the same time, you play it incorrectly and it's your back end. It's your ass. And it's Rest in Peace. Rest in Peace reads, whenever Rest in Peace enters the battlefield, exile all cards from all graveyards. Oh, so you're telling me the thing that happens with Delirium no longer happens? Uh-oh. You're telling me that with Murktide Regent, that doesn't happen? They can't use Delve because there's nothing there? Uh-oh. They can use the cantrips, but all the cantrips go into the graveyard and then they're exiled and they do nothing? Uh-oh. You know what happens to your opponent? That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Crickets. Absolute crickets. They do nothing. Nothing but twiddling their thumbs. That's delicious. Now, some of you are going to go, Rest in Peace, really? I mean, sorry, Path to Exile. There's some of you still playing Path to Exile. This is a card. Oops. This is one of the cards that I'm like, you know what? I don't have in my in my sideboard at the moment. There's other cards that I prefer, but I can understand why some would like to bring it back, and especially against Murktide Regent. If that thing becomes, let's say an 8/8, a 7/7, let's just go with a 6/6, a flyer. That can be really troublesome for Spirit deck. Why? Because Skyclave Apparition can't do nothing to it, and neither can Spell Queller because it's a 7-mana creature. That sucks. Now, one key card that I don't have up here is Kira. I love Kira in this matchup, and this is something that I actually put in my sideboard. Just one Kira. Because why? Is because it counters the first spell of every anybody trying to target my creatures. Okay, I'm not gonna complain about that. And the fact that it's a spirit, that's the piece de resistance. That's great. But I ended up putting this spirit in here because the fact that they're trying to play spells quickly, expeditiously, ASAP, and that's the way to the best way to sit there and screw them over is with Eidolon of the Rhetoric. It's 2 generic and a white, a 1/4 spirit creature, and it says each player can't cast more than 1 spell each turn. So what happens to Ledge Shredder? Uh-oh. They got a problem here. That cantrip? Oh, all they were able to do was play 1 cantrip. Uh-oh. Sucks. Oh, you're going to play that cantrip or you're going to play a creature? Oh, that's right. You're only running 13 creatures and only 3 of them are your finishers? And you don't have what you need? Sucks to be you, my friend. Me and the Brew Crew have your answers. We got it for you. And we have enough for you. Now, ladies and gentlemen, reach out to me. MTG Ectoplasm at Twitter. Or you can email me at mtgectoplasm@gmail.com. What do you think? Am I wrong? Am I full of bullshit? Am I full of bullshit? Or was I able to go deep into my crystal ball and see the victory, the keys to victory? Because guess what, ladies and gentlemen? This deck, maybe 10% of the meta. Okay, be honest with you. It's 10% of the meta. It's like 55% of the victory. But you're telling me us, the Spirit Crew, don't have answers? Didn't I say to look back in our past? Where's Kira? Why is nobody using Kira right now? Everybody wants to use the remorseful cleric. That's great. That's a great card. But unfortunately, due to creature removal, it's a meh card. Rest in Peace is a better card. A card that most people didn't even consider Eidolon of the Rhetoric. There's a lot of decks out there that are being you have to use they play multiple spells on 1 turn. Why are we not considering this, ladies and gentlemen? It's time for us to go look at the old files and go, hey, we need to pull back the curtain and see what we have. And it doesn't matter if it's Azorius or Bant. The keys are victory there. We just got to align ourselves and find it. It's easy for people to come in and go, oh, I play spirits now because it's a fun, fair deck. And then I'm just going to jump over here because this is the better deck right now. Well, guess what? Better decks get beat all the time because people find the answers. And hopefully I found some of the answers for you. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, the next time you're kicking your opponent's ass, and especially when it comes to this deck, the Izzet Murktide deck, make sure they say, that's bullshit.